A powerful attorney believed money gave him the right to control everything, even his wife. In a rain-soaked Seattle parking area, his rage spilled into the open as he shoved her onto the slick ground and lashed out while she pleaded for him to stop. What he didn't notice was the quiet figure standing nearby. He didn't sense the danger behind him. And he definitely didn't hear the trained German Shepherd until it was already too late. Ryan Morris never ignored signs of cruelty. He stepped forward from the rain, calm and deliberate. In just a few seconds, the abuser realized the world had shifted, and he was no longer the most dangerous presence there. Seattle's rain wasn't just falling that day, it pressed down on the city like a heavy mood. Streets glistened, lights reflected off wet stone, and people hurried past with their heads down. Ryan moved differently. At 30, he carried himself with controlled precision, the posture of a man trained for chaos. His lean, powerful frame was hidden beneath a plain waterproof jacket, but his sharp eyes missed nothing. Years as a Navy SEAL had carved vigilance into his bones. At his side walked Kaiser, a retired military German Shepherd. The dog moved in perfect harmony with Ryan, alert, focused, reading the environment with silent intelligence. Every sound, every scent was processed instantly. They were only there to buy groceries, a simple task suggested to Ryan as part of his return to civilian life. But crowded public spaces still felt like minefields. Ryan positioned himself carefully near a brick pillar, ensuring no one could approach from behind. That's when he noticed something wrong. Near a luxury wine shop, a man and woman stood at the counter. The man, well-dressed, confident, polished, leaned in close, whispering something sharp and controlling. To anyone else it might have looked intimate. To Ryan it was domination. The woman's shoulders tensed. Her hand shook as she reached for the bottle. Fear radiated from her. The man's fingers pressed too hard against her skin. Kaiser felt it instantly. His body stiffened. A low warning rumble vibrated through the leash. Ryan watched closely. The woman's makeup failed to hide a fading bruise along her jaw. Her posture spoke of long-term submission. This wasn't an argument, it was abuse hidden behind status. As the couple turned to leave, the man's grip tightened possessively on her back. Her eyes briefly met Ryan's, wide, desperate, silent. Then she looked away. Kaiser stepped forward and growled. The man sneered. "Control your dog," he snapped. Ryan's voice was steady and cold. "He doesn't like how you're holding her." And just like that, the storm truly began. The couple disappeared through the sliding doors, swallowed by the cold Seattle rain. Ryan didn't move right away. His instincts, honed in places far deadlier than a city market, were screaming. Whatever tension he'd witnessed inside hadn't ended. It had only been postponed. He followed at a distance. The path from Pike Place led down into a maze of concrete stairs and exposed parking areas. The sounds of the city dulled here, replaced by dripping water, echoing footsteps, and the hum of distant traffic. Kaiser stayed close, silent and alert, tracking the uneven rhythm ahead, the angry stride of a man who had lost control. They reached an isolated section of the open-air parking lot. Flickering yellow lights cast sickly shadows over empty spaces. One black luxury sedan sat alone at the far end, gleaming like a monument to wealth. The man spun around before reaching the car. "You think you embarrassed me back there?" he snapped, his voice sharp and trembling with contained fury. The woman shrank back, clutching the grocery bags as if they could protect her. I just wanted to help," she whispered. "You said you liked that wine." His laugh was cruel. "You never listen. You do this to make me look stupid." Ryan watched from behind a concrete pillar, muscles coiled. He recognized the shift, the moment when insults become weapons and violence follows. He shortened Kaiser's leash, waiting for undeniable proof. The rain intensified, masking Ryan's approach as he moved closer. The man ripped the bags from her arms and hurled them onto the ground. Glass shattered. Red wine exploded across the pavement, spreading like blood in the rain. "Look what you made me do," the man shouted. The woman stared at the broken glass, tears spilling freely now. "I'm sorry," she said again, the words automatic, programmed by fear. That was when it happened. His hand lashed out, striking her face with a brutal crack. She collapsed onto the wet pavement, curling inward, shielding her head. Years of survival instincts took over. Don't fight, just endure. Ryan's decision was instant. Kaiser. Fast. The German Shepherd surged forward, placing himself between the attacker and the woman. Teeth bared. A thunderous bark shattered the silence. The man stumbled back, terror finally breaking through his rage. Before he could recover, Ryan was there. The attacker swung wildly, panic replacing confidence. Ryan sidestepped effortlessly, caught the man's arm and twisted. In one fluid motion he slammed him face first onto the hood of the car. Metal rang. Breath left lungs. Ryan pinned the man's arm behind his back, applying controlled pressure. Enough to immobilize, not enough to break. Kaiser stood guard, a wall of muscle and warning. "You touch her again," Ryan said quietly, leaning close, "and this arm will never function the same." The man gasped, nodding desperately. Sirens cut through the rain. Ryan released him and stepped back, hands raised. The woman remained on the ground, staring in disbelief at the strangers who had stopped the nightmare, if only for a moment. But Ryan knew something the flashing lights didn't. This wasn't over. The police station was bright in the worst possible way. Harsh fluorescent lights washed the color from everything, turning faces pale and tired. Phones rang, radios crackled, and the smell of old coffee and disinfectant filled the air. Ryan sat calmly on a wooden bench, his posture relaxed but alert. Kaiser lay at his feet, quiet, watchful, his eyes tracking every movement. Across the room, the balance of power had already begun to shift. The man, now composed, jacket straightened despite the rain, stood at the counter speaking confidently to the desk sergeant. His anger from the parking lot was gone. In its place was smooth authority, the practiced tone of someone used to being believed. "It was a misunderstanding," he said, gesturing lightly. "Couples argue. This man overreacted and assaulted me. My wife was terrified." Ryan watched in silence. He had seen this before, in war zones and courtrooms alike. Truth bent by confidence. Lies wrapped in respectability. The officers listened. Not because they believed him completely, but because his version was easier. Through the glass of the interview room, Ryan could see the woman sitting alone. Her shoulders were hunched, her arms wrapped around herself like armor. A young officer spoke gently to her, clipboard in hand. Ryan already knew how this would go. Fear makes calculations. Tell the truth and the abuser might be arrested tonight. But tomorrow he'd be free, angrier, and alone with her again. Lie and the punishment would end here. The door opened. The officer stepped out and spoke quietly to the sergeant. "She says she slipped," he said. "Claims the marks are from a fall earlier in the week. Says the argument was verbal, and that Ryan misunderstood." Ryan closed his eyes briefly. He didn't blame her. Survival often looks like betrayal from the outside. The man smiled. Not openly, just enough. "Well," he said smoothly, "I don't want to ruin anyone's life. I'll drop the charges, if he's warned to stay away from my family." The room exhaled. Decision made. Ryan stood when told. No argument. No protest. He signed the paperwork, clipped Kaiser's leash, and followed the officers toward the exit. Justice hadn't failed, it had never arrived. Near the doors, paths crossed one last time. The man's arm wrapped possessively around the woman's shoulders, guiding her forward. She walked like a ghost. As she passed Ryan, she stumbled slightly. Instinctively, Ryan steadied her by the elbow. "Careful," he said softly. In that split second, he slipped a folded receipt into her hand. On the back was a phone number, and one word. "Safe." Her fingers closed around it instantly. The man leaned in close to Ryan, confidence restored. "You should have stayed out of it," he whispered. "You just made an enemy." Ryan didn't respond. He simply looked at the man's throat, then his eyes. The silence unsettled him more than words ever could. As they left, Ryan watched the woman disappear into the night. He knew the truth. This story wasn't finished yet. 2 weeks passed beneath endless gray skies, but Ryan Morris wasn't counting days. He measured time by preparation. From his remote cabin near the forest line, he dug into the truth using old contacts and quiet research. What he uncovered confirmed his instincts. The man wasn't just cruel, he was protected. Settlements. Withdrawn restraining orders. Disappearing accusations. A predator wrapped in privilege. Then just after 2 a.m. Ryan's phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered without speaking. "Ryan?" The whisper on the line was barely audible. It was her. She was hiding in the bathroom. Her voice shook as she spoke. The house had become a cage. The man was drunk. Furious. He'd broken her belongings. Then came the words that froze Ryan's blood. "He has a gun." A crash echoed through the phone. A shout. She said he was going to kill her cat first, to punish her. The call cut off. Ryan didn't hesitate. Within minutes, he and Kaiser were moving through the storm, tires slicing through rain, instincts fully awake. Law enforcement would arrive too late. Ryan knew that truth too well. The The mansion sat like a fortress of glass and steel. Ryan entered unseen, using darkness and timing the way he always had. Inside, chaos ruled. Furniture smashed. The woman knelt on the floor, sobbing. The man stood over her, gun in hand, drunk and unstable. Ryan acted. Glass exploded inward. A gunshot rang out, missed by inches. Before the man could fire again, Kaiser burst through the side entrance, launching at the gun arm. The weapon skidded across the floor. Ryan closed the distance in seconds. It ended fast. The man was restrained. Alive. Helpless. Ryan turned to her. "It's over," he said gently. He carried her out of the house as rain washed the night clean behind them. This time the truth couldn't be buried. Federal authorities arrived. Charges stacked up: attempted murder, arson, conspiracy. No money could buy silence now. The system, slow and flawed, finally caught up. Weeks later, spring broke through Seattle's gloom. In a small art gallery, the woman stood free, her work on display. At the center was a painting of a man and a guardian dog standing between darkness and the viewer. Protection. Strength. Choice. Ryan watched from the back, proud but silent. Before he left for deployment, he handed her a small silver whistle. "If fear ever returns," he said, "you're not alone." She smiled. Not with gratitude, but with confidence. As Ryan drove away, she turned back toward the city, head high. Her story was hers now. And the darkness no longer owned her.